that ultimately will pass, as the only constant truth in our universe is change. All things shall pass. And as somber and as tragic as this may be, it is also quite beautiful. Thank you very much.
I'm a bit rubbish at acting. It was impossible to let myself go. Somehow I don't think the RSC are going to be battering my door down with a Lady Macbeth request. I'm going to have to find another way to release my inner weeper. A lot of people are moved to tears by certain songs.
Sunday is gloomy, my hours are slumberless, dearest the shadows I live with are numberless.
Well, that is Gloomy Sunday, a traditional folk song sung by Elvis Costello there, the perfect combination for me because I love him. And I also remember that song being played a lot by my parents when I was a child, sung by Paul Robeson. And interestingly, when that song was originally written and played in Hungary in the 1930s, it was eventually banned because legend has it that quite a lot of people committed suicide after they'd heard it. So if I'm ever going to cry, that'll be the song that I'll probably cry to, but obviously I'm not crying now. Music can sometimes do it for me. JLS's last single really made me want to weep. I need to think of something more extreme, so it's back to the internet. Apparently they have crying clubs in Japan. Sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? Surely there's nothing like that in this country. Oh, but there is. I've just found Lost Club, where they dress up and cry. Sounds suitably bonkers to me. I'm there. Over in East London is the little-known, morosely named Lost Club. Modelled on the onion cellar in Gunter Grass's novel The Tin Drum, the aim of the night is to get everyone weeping bitterly into their gin glasses. Why do I feel I'm going to piss myself laughing? Good evening.
Evening. Would you like to sit down?
I'd love to, yeah.
She's smiling.
Not
smiling here.
I'm very, very sorry.
I've only got £4 on me, so...
That'll do.
Is that like 4 smiles?
Yeah,
That's my first one then. That'll teach me.
No one's ever smiled before.
Oh, crikey, apparently not.
That's a really sad case.
So, are you all unhappy?
Desperately, yes, desperately.
Can you be ever happy?
Well, I manage it.
Really?
Ish.
Really?
Are you sure?
I don't know, are you going to try and talk me out of it?
Yeah, I think so. I think you need a real good cry.
Do you?
Yeah.
You've got a great face. Do you like crying?
No.
You don't? So, what brings you here tonight, then?
Loss.
Loss.
Like some onions. 3 for me. 3 for Mr. Carter.
Got a big sack of onions. Yeah, sorry. Oh, that's more. You take credit cards. No, okay. Well, that's my last pound. I'll just
You won't be smiling soon.
What is it about crying that's so satisfying?
Like a drug.
Oh, is it?
It's cathartic.
Cathartic. Yeah.
You've heard of wedding crashers?
You're funeral crashers, are you?
I am, yeah.
Do you go to funerals of people you don't know, or
Yeah.
you might go to the funeral of someone you've never met before?
No, that's better.
Is it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When was the last time you cried?
When was the last time I
Yeah.
cried? Oh God, absolutely ages ago.
Really?
Yeah. I hardened my heart, so I would say I'm probably quite an emotionally blunted person now.
Chop the onions. Let the onion juice flow. Chop the onions. Chop the onions. Chop the onions. A little bit of onion juice in your eye, it'll make you cry.
Thank you so much. And I'll smell nice as well.
You will. Little bit of onion juice in your eye, madam. It'll make you cry.
I've been forced to cry now, and I feel that somehow my civil liberties have been in some way, violated, yes, good word.
Chop, chop. No one is leaving until every single onion is chopped.
Well, that was a very strange experience indeed. I don't really know what it was all about, whether they're art students having a laugh or they're all seriously disturbed. And I know I kind of looked like I was crying, but I wasn't. That was just water coming out of my eyes because some bloke in a frock coat had assaulted me with an onion. So I didn't cry, all right? Here. This crying game is getting exhausting. What haven't I tried? I've been poked in the eye, given acting a go, music, weird onion torture, but none of them have worked. It isn't an issue for most people, but it clearly is for me. It's time to confront my stubborn subconscious. Many people seek help from psychotherapists to try and unlock long-standing emotional problems. There seems to be a supposition that crying is in some way cathartic. I've actually been invited by psychotherapist Susie Orbach to have a session, but I think last time I met her she wasn't terribly impressed with me because I said that I'd read her book Fat is a Feminist Issue, got halfway through it and eaten it. Susie, I was really interested to come and talk to you because it seems to me that particularly over the last kind of 10 to 20 years, there's been a huge increase on television particularly of people kind of just letting everything out and crying their eyes out, and I find it really irritating, and I think that's because I, as a person, think that grief is a thing you should do in private, and that I don't know, I have a feeling about it that it's, a lot of the time it's kind of crocodile tears, it's done for effect, and it's to try and kind of make the viewing public be more sympathetic towards the individual. So
But
that's what we're looking
There's
at.
so much stuff in what you've just said, because do you think it is easy to cry?
Personally, not that easy for
Right,
me.
so why do you
no.
think it is for other people?
Because I think they're sort of emotionally incontinent, really. Let's take something, for example, like Who Do You Think You Are, where people go back through their family ancestry. I mean, it seems to me it's almost kind of essential for them to cry to make a
Right,
good
okay, so what
programme, if you
offends you
like.
about that?
First of all, I feel it's false, because I think if you find out that your great-great-great-great-grandfather had a hard life, to me, that's not an important enough thing to you as a person to cry about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's more important to me for someone to cry about is something going on in their life
Okay,
at
so
the time.
crying
It
for
seems
you
false in a way, I suppose.
is a different kind of emotion than other emotions. You want to reserve crying for something particular.
I suppose I do, yes. And I also think that I feel quite strongly that crying isn't something that you do for the entertainment of the television viewing population.
So on the one hand, you distrust it. On the other hand, you feel queasy.
Yes, I suppose I'm simply saying that I don't actually know, because I can't tell whether they're really full of grief or not, but sometimes they don't seem to be. It seems to be put on for the
But
cameras.
I think that is the thing about emotions, that maybe coming from it where you do in your job, which is to make us laugh, is you know, I don't understand where that laugh comes from that you can produce in me.
Yes.
Yet it can come. And I think it's the same with tears. Let me put it this way. Your professional life is about making sure we're not crying. And there's quite a lot to cry about.
There is quite a lot to cry about.
And you don't like to cry yourself, and you don't find it easy to cry.
No, and I think probably what that's about in me is that I kind of defend myself against it by laughing, because I find that an easier way to kind of frame the whole thing. Like the fat thing, right? Now, I've had so much abuse throughout my life for being overweight. As a psychiatric nurse, as a woman just walking down the street, you know. And you'll notice kind of a lot of people that have some sort of physical, noticeable characteristic where they, and again it's a cliche, but they defend themselves against it with humour, because they don't want to sit at home and cry and go, everyone hates me because I'm fat. Because I personally don't think that's a particularly important aspect of a person's personality, you know. Right,
but you must think it's important, because otherwise you wouldn't draw attention to it. And I'm just wondering whether there's something about the tears held within that.
Do you think I'm really sad about being fat?
No. No, you might be really sad about... You might be really sad.
Oh, you're looking at me in quite a scary way now. You're doing that therapist thing of just looking and then waiting for me to say something, but I don't know what to say.
Maybe the worry is if I don't say anything and we don't have this easy, fast talk,
yeah,
that something else will come up about tears. Given you have an interest in crying, the negative aspect of it, I'm thinking, what's that? What's the fear or the upset about crying for yourself? You know, what's that piece of you that's undeveloped? It's not that you need to change your persona, but it seems like a sort of emotional deprivation to not have that emotional capacity. Maybe deprivation is too strong a word. Maybe I'd want to say it just seems like that there's a limitation there in your relation to self, not in your relation to the world.
So do you think that there's some kind of negative effect if you're the sort of person that doesn't cry and you probably need to cry about things? Is that having a bad effect?
I'd have to say yes. If you need to cry and you're trembling instead, or you're wringing your hands, or you're laughing, which I don't mean in the comedy sense,
yeah, sure.
but I mean telling a sad story, smiling and then apologising. It's a form of alienation from yourself.
Two weeks after my session with Susie Orbach, I decided to go into serious psychotherapy.
Now if there's a smile on my face, it's only there trying to fool the public. But when it comes down to fooling you, now honey, that's quite a different song.
In your dreams, mate.
Don't let my glad expression give you the wrong impression. Really, I'm sad.
And stay with us here on BBC4 this evening for a tearjerker of a movie. No, not really. Comedy coming up next with our Valentine's night film, Born Romantic.